Whoa, 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 whoa. What's going on, Luminators? Juggernauts, powerful and unstoppable, benevolent determinators, observers, participators, oracles, taking care of business, this business, from the inside out, striving to thrive in your own lane, taking out your own trash daily, living in your own unique dimensional reality. You electromagnetic, bioplasmatic creature, you powerful and unstoppable. Boston C here, Boston C. Everybody doing good? Yeah. What's happening here below the sun? Everything good? Everybody good? Family good? All right. You're loving big love? You're practicing loving big? You're dealing with your quantum entanglements, the little things in your life that you didn't see coming, and the bigger ones, the quantum assignments that you know you got to do, going in, bringing in that positive energy, right? Changing the atmosphere. Yeah, it's all good. Hey, but guess what? We're back into the book, The Biology of Belief. It's amazing, right? 50 trillion cells. What's this whole thing with this Newtonian genetic determinism? Don't think so. You weren't born with an unhappy gene, right? Your cells are responding to the environment that you create. Let's read a little bit. All right. This is chapter 2. What's that say? Oh, got some notes there. And this is all free energy, right? Because you're free energy. Yeah. So this is episode 11. It's the environment, stupid. Let's see what Dr. Bruce has to say. Get the book. This is Dr. Bruce. I will never forget a piece of wisdom I received in 1967. On the first day, I learned to clone stem cells in graduate school. It took me decades to realize how profound this seemingly simple piece of wisdom was for my work and my life. My professor, mentor, and consummate scientist, Herb Königsberg, was one of the first cell biologists to master the art of cloning stem cells. He told me that when the cultured cells you are studying are ailing, you look first to the cell's environment, not to the cell itself or the cause. That sounds like it's wicked smart to me. My professor wasn't as blunt as Bill Clinton's campaign manager, James Carville, who decreed, "It's the economy, stupid," to be the mantra for the 1992 presidential election. But cell biologists would have done well to post, "It's the environment, stupid," over our desk, just as the "It's the economy, stupid" sign was posted at Clinton's headquarters. Though it wasn't apparent at the time, I eventually realized that this advice was a key insight into understanding the nature of life. Over and over, I learned the wisdom of Herb's advice. When I provided a healthy environment for my cells, they thrived. When the environment was less than optimal, the cells faltered. When I adjusted the environment, these sick cells revitalized. But most cell biologists knew nothing of this wisdom of tissue culture techniques. And scientists moved sharply away from considering environmental influences after Watson and Crick's revelation of DNA's genetic code. Even Charles Darwin conceded near the end of his life that this evolutionary theory had shortchanged the role of the environment. In an 1876 letter to Moritz Wagner, he wrote, "In my opinion, the greatest error which I have committed has been not allowing sufficient weight to the direct action of the environments, as an example, food, climate, etc., independently of natural selection. When I wrote The Origin, and for some years afterwards, I could find little good evidence of the direct action of the environment. Now there's a large body of evidence." That was Darwin, 1888. Unfortunately, Darwin's followers perceived that his return to Lamarckian thinking was a sign of Darwin's aging and now addled mind. Rather than following the master's revised vision, Darwinian evolutionists chose to remain more Darwinian than Darwin. The problem with the Darwinian underemphasis on the environment is that it led to an overemphasis on nature in the form of genetic determinism. The belief that genes control biology. This belief has not only led to a misallocation of research dollars, and I will argue in a later chapter, but more importantly, it has changed the way we think about our lives. When you are convinced that the genes control your life and you know that you had no say in which genes you were saddled with at conception, you have a good excuse to consider yourself a victim of heredity. Don't blame me for my work habits. It's not my fault that I've been procrastinating on my deadline. It's genetic. Since the dawning of the age of genetics, we have been programmed to accept that we are subservient to the power of our genes. The world is filled with people who live in constant fear that on some unsuspecting day, their genes are going to turn on them. Consider the masses of people who think they are ticking time bombs. They wait for cancer to explode in their lives as it exploded in the life of their mother or brother or sister or aunt or uncle. Millions of others attribute their failing health not to a combination of mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual causes, but simply to the inadequacies of their body's biochemical mechanics. Are your kids unruly? Increasingly, the first choice is to medicate these children to correct their chemical imbalances, rather than fully grappling with what is going on in their bodies, minds, and spirit. Of course, there is no doubt that some diseases, like Huntington's, chorea, beta thalassemia, cystic fibrosis, can be blamed entirely on one faulty gene, but single gene disorders affect less than 2% of the population. The vast majority of people come into this world with genes that should enable them to live a happy and healthy life. The diseases that are today's scourges, diabetes, heart disease, and cancer, short circuit a happy and healthy life. These diseases, however, are not the result of a single gene, but of complex interactions among multiple genes and environmental factors. What about all those headlines trumpeting the discovery of a gene for everything from depression to schizophrenia? Read those articles closely and you'll see that behind the breathless headline is a more sober truth. Scientists have linked lots of genes to lots of different diseases and traits, but scientists have really found that one gene causes a trait or a disease. In the realm of human diseases, defective genes acting alone only account for about 2% of our total disease load. The confusion occurs when the media repeatedly distort the meaning of two words, correlation and causation. It's one thing to be linked to a disease, it's quite another to cause a disease, which implies a directing, controlling action. If I show you my keys and say that a particular key controls my car, you at first might think that makes sense because you know you need that key to turn on the ignition. But does the key actually control the car? If it did, you couldn't leave the key in the car alone because it might just borrow your car for a joyride when you are not paying attention. In truth, the key is correlated with the control of the car, but the person who turns the key actually controls the car. You're getting this, right? Specific genes are correlated with an organism's behavior and characteristics, but these genes are not activated until something triggers them. What activates genes? The answer was elegantly spelled out in 1990 in a paper entitled Metaphors and the Role of Genes in Development by H.F. Ninjout, 1990. Ninjout presents evidence that the notion that genes control biology has been so frequently repeated for such a long period of time that scientists have forgotten it is a hypothesis, not a truth. Love truth, right? In reality, the idea that genes control biology is a supposition which has never been proven. We're winding down. And in fact has been undermined by the latest scientific research. Genetic control, argues Najout, has become a metaphor in our society. We want to believe that genetic engineers are the new medical magicians who can cure diseases, and while they're at it, create more Einsteins and Mozarts as well. But metaphor does not equate with scientific truth. Najout summarizes the truth. When a gene product is needed, a signal from its environment, not an emergent property of the gene itself, activates expression of that gene. In other words, when it comes to genetic control, it's the environment. Stupid. Is in the book. It's amazing, right? Create our own reality down to the thought life, can live healthy, wealthy, an amazing sense of well-being. You just got to turn around and think different. Slow and easy, right? Love big love, practice loving big, but start with you, right? Give yourself a hall pass while you're trying to figure it out. All right. It's okay. Just keep taking out your trash every day. All right. And just live above the sun. Although we're here below the sun, we see what's happening. You think red, blue, red, blue, red, blue. What do you think we're going to get like this? Yeah, this whole financial thing or whatever, and all the wars that are going. Listen, Big Love's got all that. All right. He just wants to hang out with you. You, just you. How he does that with everybody is amazing. It's amazing. He's awesome. So with that said, Boston C is going to tell you to stay in the way, stay in the path. And until next time, Boston C, up and away.